So, if you've ever worked in tech, you've probably heard of Agile. It's fantastic for small, super fast moving teams. But what happens when your whole organization, I mean the entire company, wants to get on board? Well, that's where things get complicated. Today, we're diving into one of the most popular and definitely most debated solutions out there, the Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe, right? This is the million-dollar question for so many big companies. You see, the very things that make a single Scrum team so great, their autonomy, their speed, can turn into absolute chaos when you're trying to coordinate the work of dozens or even hundreds of teams. How on earth do you get everyone pulling in the same direction without killing the very agility you're trying to scale? Before we jump straight to the solution, we really have to understand the problem. Because scaling Agile isn't just about doing more Agile. It actually brings up a whole new set of challenges that can grind a company to a halt. And this is where you really see the friction, right? A single team can plan out their next couple of weeks, no problem. But the marketing department, they need a roadmap for the next 12 months. A product owner is supposed to own the product, but in a giant company, that authority gets split up and delegated all over the place. And how are you supposed to synchronize the work from 50 different teams to release one single cohesive product? Yeah, it gets messy and fast. Okay, so into this chaos steps the Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe. It was designed specifically to bring some structure to this mess, to provide a kind of blueprint for doing Agile at a massive scale. Now, it's super important to know that SAFe isn't some rigid methodology you have to follow to the letter. It's a framework. Think of it more like a set of patterns and best practices. It pulls ideas from three big areas: Agile development for how teams get work done, lean product development for cutting out waste and focusing on value, and systems thinking to understand how all the different parts of a company actually work together. The whole idea is to help big, clunky organizations act more like a network of nimble little startups. This really boils it down. The mission is simple: alignment so everyone's rowing in the same direction, collaboration so teams aren't just working in their own little bubbles, and delivery so that valuable stuff consistently gets to the customer. SAFe tries to orchestrate all of this without totally crushing that agile spirit. And whoa, okay, I know what you're thinking. This big picture diagram looks absolutely insane, maybe even the opposite of agile. But hang on, don't panic. We are not going to go through every single icon on this thing. Instead, let's focus on the one core concept that makes all of this tick. This is it. This is the key idea that cuts through all that complexity. An Agile Release Train, or ART, is basically a long-term team of teams. You've got 5 to 12 Agile teams, so somewhere around 50 to 125 people, who are all working together. They're all synchronized, they plan their work together, and they're all dedicated to building something valuable for one part of the business. Think of it just like a train. All the cars are linked up, moving on the same track, at the same speed, headed to the same destination.
So how does a company actually get these trains up and running? Well, it's not random. SAFe provides a pretty clear step-by-step process for figuring out where to even start.
It all begins with this idea from lean manufacturing called value streams. It's really just about understanding every single step it takes to deliver something valuable to a customer. SAFe makes you map this all out. So for an e-commerce site, for instance, you'd ask, what are all the steps from when a customer clicks buy to when the package shows up at their door? What systems make that happen? Who works on those systems? By answering those questions, you figure out exactly who needs to be grouped together into those agile release trains. You're organizing your company around delivering value, not just around siloed departments like engineering or marketing. And as you can see, adopting SAFe is a whole journey. You don't just flip a switch one day. There's a whole roadmap for it, from training your leadership team and getting everyone on board, all the way to launching more of these trains and expanding this new way of working across the company. It's meant to be a deliberate, guided transformation. Ultimately, all of these steps, all these roadmaps and trains, they're all about one thing: creating a predictable rhythm, a cadence. By getting all the teams on an agile release train in sync, you move from this chaotic, unpredictable delivery cycle to a reliable flow of value that the business, and more importantly, your customers, can actually count on. Now, it would be a huge mistake to present SAFe as this perfect, universally loved solution, because in the Agile community, it's actually one of the most fiercely debated topics out there. And that brings us to the controversy. So, on one side, you have the promise, right? Alignment, collaboration, predictability. I mean, these are things every big company dreams of. But the critics, they argue that SAFe is just the old top-down way of working, but dressed up in agile language. They say it's way too rigid because it locks teams into these fixed 8 to 12-week planning cycles, which to them feels a lot like a mini waterfall project, not the continuous flow and adaptation that real agile is all about. And this criticism isn't just from some random people online. This really sharp critique comes from Ken Schwaber, one of the co-creators of Scrum itself, the foundation for most agile teams. His take is that SAFe just fundamentally undermines the core principles of Agile, making it a dangerous path for companies to go down. And yet, here's the wild part. Despite all that fierce criticism from the Agile purists, SAFe is the most popular scaling framework in the world, by a lot. According to the State of Agile report, a staggering 30% of organizations that are trying to scale their Agile practices are using SAFe, and that number is actually growing. So clearly, a lot of big companies are finding some real value in it.
Which leaves us with this final question to chew on. Is SAFe a necessary compromise? A pragmatic tool that helps these massive, complex organizations take a real step towards being more agile? Or is it a betrayal of Agile's core principles, trading away real team